and regional security. And big global voice on India Sense this week, Ian Bremmer on Donald Trump 2.0.
All this and more only on India Sense.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV. The counting day is finally here, and today, in a few minutes from now, we will get to know who the people of Jharkhand and Maharashtra voted for. And actually, the counting will begin in a few minutes from now. Of course, it will take some more time for us to understand who is ahead in both these states. Additionally, there are also 42 bypolls that were held across the country. Let's, of course, talk about the most important state, poll-bound state, Maharashtra. The 288-member assembly witnessed a spirited campaign on both sides. It's Mahavikas Agadi on one side, which saw the momentum in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. But of course, there's also the Mahayuti, which is the ruling coalition, which is riding on its flagship welfare program. Not just slogans such as "Ek hai to safe hai," but even Bitcoin and cash for votes controversies came into this campaign. And this election is particularly important because this is the financial capital of the country, critical for its economy. Also a state that has seen multiple wars for symbols and name, 3 chief ministers in 5 states and in 5 years, and 4 deputy chief ministers. And all of this make these polls center around that one big question: will Maharashtra finally see political stability in the state, and will people of the state actually give a decisive mandate or not?
Right, and of course, the other important state is that of Jharkhand, where the counting, as we were mentioning, was going to, in fact, it's already 8 a.m. Counting has, in a few seconds from now, the counting will begin. The battle was witnessed in Jharkhand between the ruling JMM-led India bloc, which is looking forward to holding on to power, and the BJP-led NDA opposition, which is anticipating and expecting that their campaign would pay off in replacing the Soren government in the state this year. Remember, there was a pitched battle in the state where the BJP primarily targeted the JMM Congress combined in terms of the corruption allegations against Hemant Soren, and also the infiltration angle that they have in fact blamed the government there for tribals' rights in a way being taken away by infiltrators from Bangladesh. There we can see the live images coming in. This is from the images from Jharkhand, which we are seeing, where activity has in a way begun at the counting centers there. We have, of course, got our reporters spread out across the country from the battleground states of Maharashtra and Jharkhand, but also in the states which are witnessing by-elections as well. Right. I also would want to introduce in the studio, we have Professor Sandeep Shastri, who is, of course, the national coordinator of the Lok Niti Network. He also joins us. We will, of course, also have a panel of experts along with Professor Shastri, who will be decoding the results as they trickle in for us this morning.
But let me also remind our viewers that, Tanima, the counting for all these assembly seats and bypolls, of course, will begin now, but with postal ballots that are reserved for specific groups, including those with disability, security personnel, and certain government employees who are involved in essential services. Following this is when the EVMs will open. Their votes will be tallied. So by midday is when we can expect the trends to consolidate and a clearer picture to come out. It's going to take some time because Maharashtra is a huge state, and we also have Jharkhand. It's an 81-member assembly, and of course the 42 bypolls which have taken place. Of course, the point to remember here is the early trends can be misleading, and that is something we will have to continuously remember.
That's right. Let's go across to our reporters now first, who are joining us from the ground there. First to Maharashtra, where I believe I have my colleagues Radhika and Abira, who are joining us. Radhika from Worli and Abira from Dahisar. Radhika, coming to you first. You're, of course, reporting from Worli, which is seen one of the key contests, Sena versus Sena contest there in Worli between Aditya Thackeray and Milind Deora. But first, give us an understanding. There were, of course, late evening meetings which were supposed to take place yesterday, both from the Mahayuti side as well as the MVA side. Also, we saw certain MVA leaders mentioning that they're going to keep all their candidates in Mumbai, considering the kind of instability and the realignments that we have seen taking place in Maharashtra several times in the past few years. So is that the strategy that both sides are adopting, to keep their flock very close to themselves even before the results start coming in?
Absolutely, that is the strategy. They don't want to leave any stone unturned in ensuring that the flock stays together. In fact, they have to ensure that they stay together, and that is priority as far as both MV and Mahayuti are concerned. And it is expectedly so, considering what has happened, especially over the last few years. There have been all kinds of splits and realignments that have happened, and it is a sort of a sticky wicket as far as both the alliance groups are concerned. Which is why what we are hearing is that they have booked a few hotels in Mumbai, but that's also required for government formation. So for government formation, they require all their MLAs to also come to Mumbai. So that's one of the reasons why, all these, some of the hotels have been booked. But again, if it is a hung assembly and if there could be chances of talks between the alliances, perhaps MVA parties reaching out to some of the Mahayuti parties, candidates reaching out to candidates from the other parties, then they have to make sure that, they're all in one place, safe and secure, and they're not lured by the other side. So yes, that's what we are hearing, which is why multiple discussions took place yesterday. There was a meeting with the BJP leaders, Devendra Fadnavis, Bhupendra Yadav taking meetings with BJP leaders. Post that, there was a meeting of Congress leaders as well, both Nana Patole, Ramesh Chennitala, speaking to all the candidates, all the leaders of the Congress party. Meeting between Sena leaders as well, both Sena Eknath Shinde as well as Sena Uddhav Thackeray, who held discussions with his members, his leaders, his cadres. So that has happened, and that will happen in the next few hours as well. This is to ensure their flock stays together, one, and also to understand the probabilities that could arise. There are all kinds of permutations and combinations that are being worked right now. So if it is a hung assembly, if they do not have the numbers, both respective MVA or Mahayuti, then what is the strategy going forward? Which are the candidates they could reach out to? Which are the rebel candidates they could reach out to? Which are the independents? Which are the smaller parties they could take help of? So all this are being discussed, but to us, both the parties, both the alliances have been projecting a very confident front. They both say that they are going to get a clear landslide majority. However, backdoor talks are still going on because they don't want to sort of leave anything to chance. So all the strategies being worked out. And yes, the priority is to make sure the flock stays together, which is something that we didn't see in the last few years. The flock did not stay together. Time and again, they'd been wandering here and there. This time, they don't want that.
So the Jharkhand numbers have started coming in. Thank you, Radhika, for that important update. BJP leading in about, NDA leading in 2 and India bloc leading in 1. But remember, these are just the postal ballots that are being counted. It's an 81-member assembly. It's also not a extremely small state. So we'll have to wait and watch the spirited campaign between Hemant Soren-led JMM versus the NDA there. And of course, a lot of that was centered around protection of tribal identity. And of course, this narrative, this aggressive narrative around infiltration and how from Bangladesh, which is allegedly causing reduction in tribal numbers. So quite a high-pitched campaign there. But of course, the welfare was something that was also something that took center stage when it came to Jharkhand. The numbers have started coming in. You can have a look at that on our screens. But also going across to my colleague Anuj. Anuj, it's very important to understand here that for Uddhav Thackeray, this is more than a battle of just a pursuit of power, because this is also about his survival. And because, Eknath Shinde, there are about 53 seats, which is direct Sena versus Sena fight. So Uddhav Thackeray, for him, it is very important to make a mark there. In the Lok Sabha elections of 2024, he won 9 out of 15 seats, which was not really considered that great. In fact, Eknath Shinde had a better strike rate. How important is this election outcome for Uddhav Thackeray? And also help us understand yesterday's statements by people like Sanjay Rawat saying that the Chief Minister will be decided when everybody gets together, because that was always a point of contention. Congress had a problem with even declaring Eknath Shinde as a Chief Ministerial face, which is also the reason why Uddhav Thackeray broke away from the BJP alliance in the past.
Uddhav Thackeray won 9 out of 21 seats, not 15, and that means that the strike rate is even less, right? And which is why, because the reason is that Uddhav Thackeray was seen as the face of the Mahavikas Aghadi going into the Lok Sabha election. And when we saw the results come out, it was the Congress party which got the majority of the seats from the MV, and it was the Sharad Pawar faction of the NCP which had the best strike rate. And therein we saw that some way the weakest wing in the entirety of Mahavikas Aghadi was Uddhav Thackeray, if not seat-wise, but when you look at the strike rate, and that has put the party in a sort of a tumultuous situation, because leading up to the state assembly election, the Shiv Sena UBT faction wanted it the same way as it was in Lok Sabha election. They wanted Uddhav Thackeray to be the face of the campaign, and they also wanted him to be declared as the face of the chief ministership before the election. But given the results of the Lok Sabha, the Congress especially did not want to do that, considering that their stakes had now increased in the state after their after their very good performance in the Lok Sabha election, where they won close to 13 plus one being the independent candidate who offered his support to the Congress party out of the 17 seats that they contested. And we saw this, these fights reflect into the kind of perception that people got of MVA, and one example of that would be the seat sharing debates. The seat sharing debates, especially in places like Vidarbha, went on till the very last moment. And the problem that many of the parties, and especially the Congress party and earlier BJP seem to have with Uddhav Thackeray faction of Shiv Sena is the fact that it becomes, it's very less flexible when it comes to making compromises in places where they do not have a stronghold. Vidarbha, for that matter, has been a Congress stronghold for the longest period of time. But we saw that the Uddhav Thackeray faction of Shiv Sena tried their level best to get as many as Congress's seats as possible. But that was a problem, given that they don't even have a candidate or a strong, foundation in the places where they wanted to contest. And these are being looked at as factors which might, result in the Shiv Sena's poor performance as far as the exit poll predictions are concerned. But the Shiv Sena UBT faction is very confident of proving that wrong. They believe that the Mumbai and the Konkan voters, Konkan, mind you, went with the Shinde Sena and the BJP with Narayan Rane's stronghold, who is a very strong leader there in the coastal region. And Mumbai, we also saw, as we spoke earlier, was very easily split, where the Marathi voters seemed to have gone with the Shinde faction, whereas it was the minority votes that the Uddhav Thackeray faction got. Will it be the same this time around? It will be interesting to see, because it will be a litmus test in not just Mumbai or Konkan, but also in places like Marathwada, which has got a very strong Marathi population, in places like Vidarbha, where Uddhav Thackeray tried his level best to get many seats, and especially in places like Paschim Maharashtra, that is the Western Maharashtra, where NCP Sharad Pawar faction has been the stronger party for the longest period of time. But we see that Uddhav Thackeray faction, which is contesting on as many as 96 seats, has also contested several seats there. So their strike rate in this election will determine a lot when it comes to the future of that particular party.
He's also banking a lot on Vidarbha because it has a maximum number of seats, 62, and of course on Western Maharashtra, which is where the Mahayuti is not extremely confident about, but of course that also has a high number of seats, 59. But it is North Maharashtra, which is where the tribal seats are, Nashik and all those places, and of course the other places like Marathwada, like you mentioned, which is where the BJP faced the maximum setback in 2024 Lok Sabha elections. That is where I think the battle is going to be, like you rightly pointed out. For some reason, Mumbai and Konkan seem to be a lot about Sena versus Sena, and here every party seems to be ensuring that it does its best when it comes to a direct fight, Sena versus Sena, Pawar versus Pawar, BJP versus Congress. So that seems to be the crux of the battle here.
Right, and different strategies being adopted for all these different political regions in Maharashtra. Complex election there, to say the least. Let me also quickly go across to Abira, who is joining us from Dahisar, Borivali region. Abira, you are standing at one of the locations in the Mumbai metropolitan region, which saw a high voter turnout. And this time we have seen a record turnout as far as women voters are concerned in Maharashtra. Women, of course, have been one of the crucial vote banks in multiple areas this elections. But specifically, the Mahayuti has, of course, been banking on their Ladki Bahan scheme to get them dividends in this election. So is that one of the things which has, of course, resonated with the women voters in Maharashtra in terms of the women vote bank? If you can kindly elaborate for our viewers more on that.
Yes, of course, the women voters are attracted to that. And of course, I think in Borivali and Dahisar, the thing is the sitting MLA here is a woman. She has been campaigning profusely. She's going out and talking to the women. Her name is Manisha Chaudhary. And but the confusion here is the sitting MLA who is from BJP and the other candidate who is Vinod Ghosalkar. Both of them have made they have same promises to the people. So people here who are like 2.7 lakh people in Dahisar who who have voted, they were confused while voting that whom to vote. But we have to tell you that Vinod Ghosalkar has a soft corner among the people because his son Abhishek Ghosalkar was murdered on Facebook live by Morris. So since then there is a sympathy with Vinod Ghosalkar. So we have to wait and watch what happens. But the women supporters, the women voters are all going out there and putting out their demands. And I think BJP candidate Manisha Chaudhary, the sitting MLA, is doing whatever she can to impress them.
Right, Abhira. So these are certain seats where the alliance doesn't seem to be working that much. We've seen the same in Nashik. We've seen the same thing when it came to Nashik. And this not working aspect only applies to the seat sharing, because when it comes to coordination amongst workers or what voters want, that's a different game altogether. And that is something we'll get to know today. And there have been these disagreements when it came to seat sharing, both in the Mahavikas Aghadi and Mahayuti. But Mahayuti seem to have handled it better, at least in terms of optics, because there are fewer seats in which there are these friendly and not so friendly fights, Tanima.
Right, exactly. Let's bring in Professor Shastri at this point. Professor Shastri, if you can just tell us your initial understanding of this, who has the edge in Maharashtra?
From the reports that we have heard since morning and over the last few days, for me at least one thing is clear. There is clear predictability about the visible unpredictability about how this result will go. And that's because it's an extremely close fight. This alliance pattern has never been seen in Maharashtra in a previous assembly election. People have always been making the point that Maharashtra has never seen a single party majority for quite some time, which is true. But then there was till 2019 a stability of the alliances. And that stability has this time been broken. And the three parties' peace in each alliances are fighting an assembly election together for the first time. And that, I think, is what makes this election in Maharashtra unpredictable and also very close. And as you rightly said, I think the fight is clearly in certain regions. What will be important to watch as we proceed today is who is the weak link in both the parties. Because it's that weak link which is pulling possibly the party down. And lastly, I would say recent trends in elections has shown somebody loses the election because of which somebody wins the election.
Right.
And are you going to see that in Maharashtra and Jharkhand also today?
Right. That's very interesting. Let me go across to Prabhakar, because Jharkhand poll outcomes will also be out today. But before that, let me go to Sam Daniel, because Wayanad is where Priyanka Gandhi could be making her electoral debut from. If she becomes an MP, all Gandhis will be in the parliament, which in itself is quite something to watch out for. Sam, tell us, what does this mean for the Gandhi Parivar, and also for that matter, what does this mean for Priyanka Gandhi? Because she started her electoral journey by being the General Secretary in charge of UP, and she was not able to make that kind of mark when it came to political, political successes. She came up with a slogan, "Ladki hu, lad sakti hu," but Congress did not really perform that well in the assembly elections of UP. And after that, she of course, had other roles to play in the party, and this time she could be becoming an MP. It's a safe seat. Tell us, you went to Wayanad, tell us what was the mood like, and what are the larger implications for the Congress party and for the Gandhi family once Priyanka Gandhi becomes an MP?
Vasudha and Tanima, Priyanka Gandhi fighting from a seat where Rahul Gandhi was twice elected, that has given them that kind of a comfort level. But the challenge for Priyanka Gandhi is to make sure she making a debut this time. She wants to really make it big, come with a bang kind of a thing. So her team hopes for a win much bigger than what Rahul had secured second time. He had won with a margin of 3.5 lakh. They hope to go beyond 4 lakh. But The voting percentage was slightly lesser this time, but will that still work for the advantage? That's something we'll have to wait and watch. It's a triangular contest with the CPI fielding Satyan Mukherjee and BJP fielding Navya Haridas. The political significance would be for the Congress to have the Gandhi family member represent this Congress seat from the south, and also to have a stronger woman face to fight to be part of the Congress team on the floor of the House. That's the bigger, larger message the Congress is trying to send. Since Rahul Gandhi has shifted to Raebareli, there will be a Gandhi family member still representing from the southern part of India, and to have a high-profile, stronger, well-known face, and nothing like Priyanka Gandhi making a debut and also filling up that kind of a space on the floor of the House. That's what the Congress hopes. In terms of the issues, well, the Congress had taken up the issue of what they call the central government, the BJP-led central government, in a sense abandoning the landslide ravaged Wayanad. But the other two parties, be it the BJP or the left, they had targeted Priyanka Gandhi, calling her as an outsider, saying that she could actually abandon Wayanad just the way, as they call it. Rahul Gandhi didn't have much time for Wayanad in the past. So that was the political angle these parties had taken on. But the Congress, looking at the track record in terms of Rahul's victory twice there, they're supremely confident that Priyanka Gandhi will be able to comfortably win, possibly win with a larger margin as well.
Right. Thank you, Sam Daniel, for joining us. Wayanad battle, an important battle for the Congress party. In fact, there was a lot of criticism that the Congress party actually, ignored large parts of the Maharashtra and Jharkhand campaign because many leaders had to go to Wayanad to support this campaign. But that apart, the numbers, the leads have started coming in. You can see them on our screens. But these are, remember, just postal ballots. Early leads often, are not really indicative of victory. But of course, these are the leads that are coming in. 27 leads for NDA in Maharashtra, and of course 6 for the Mahavikas Aghadi. In Jharkhand, the BJP is leading in 1 seat, and BJP is leading in 3 seats, and of course the JMM is also leading in one seat, in 3 seats, and NDA in 7 is what the leads we have right now. Let me also go across to Mahesh Verma, who joins us. He is from the BJP. Mr. Verma, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. Sir, I know that exit polls have often gone wrong, but out of the 10 exit polls that have come out, there are about 6 which have given you a comfortable victory. There are about, there's one that is saying that it could be a hung assembly, and the rest, 3 of them have given the edge to Mahavikas Aghadi. How confident are you of making a comfortable victory in the state of Maharashtra, given that the state is known to, throw up surprises?
देखिए, मैं ये सबसे पहले बताना चाहूँगा आपको कि जिस प्रकार से महाराष्ट्र में लोकसभा चुनाव के रिजल्ट हमारे अगेंस्ट में थे, जिस प्रकार से वहाँ पर एक माहौल था, जिस प्रकार से हम चुनाव में जाने से पहले हमारे को लेके एक झूठ का बाजार गर्म किया गया, वो कम से कम हम लोगों ने पहले से उसका अच्छे से जो पॉलिटिकल इंतजाम, पॉलिटिकल मैनेजमेंट हमें जो करना था, उसको हमने सामने रख के, और महाराष्ट्र में जो हमारे पास मुद्दे थे, जो हमारे वर्कर्स थे, जो हमारे हर एक क्षेत्र में हर एक रीजन के हिसाब से जो हमें पॉलिटिकल मैनेजमेंट करने थे, उसको हमने बखूबी किया। वहाँ जिस प्रकार से हमें पब्लिक सपोर्ट मिला, जिस प्रकार से रोड शो में लोगों के उत्साह देखने को मिले, जिस प्रकार से प्रधानमंत्री जी के जो भी जनसभाएं हुई, उसमें देखिए जिस तरह का जन सैलाब था, वो कहीं जाहिर करता था कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ जो है वहाँ कहीं न कहीं पब्लिक खड़ी है। अब सवाल यह है कि आज के नतीजे जो है कहीं ना कहीं उसको स्थापित करेंगे, और जो चुनाव का रिजल्ट हमें लोकसभा के जब चुनाव हुए और जो नतीजे उसमें हमें मिले, उससे इतर नतीजे जो है आज हमें मिलेंगे। ये हमें पूर्ण विश्वास है।
Thank you,
और
Mr.
जनता
Verma.
जो
All
है,
the best for you. We also have Adil Singh Boparai from the Congress Party joining us. Adil, we've talked about this earlier as well. What is your expectation from Maharashtra? Because this was not just the Congress's battle. Despite the Congress Party actually performing the best amongst all parties in Lok Sabha elections in Maharashtra, there was a lot of back and forth between the MVA allies. So clearly the Congress was not in a stronger position. In Vidarbha also, you had to give away seats to the UBT Sena. Would you say that the Congress Party could have done better in terms of handling this work of coordination?
Well, I respectfully disagree with you, because when you go to the hustings in a collaboration with the other alliance partners, of course there has to be a bit of give and take. But there was absolute synergy amongst us and our allies, whether it was Mr. Uddhav Thackeray or Mr. Sharad Pawar. We ran a very, very progressive campaign. Of course, the voters today in the course will decide which party do they want to really give a mandate. But we ran a progressive campaign. We ran a campaign of inclusivity. We ran a campaign of justice, social economic justice. We spoke about the real issues. If there was any formation which really spoke about issues like inflation, unemployment, agrarian crisis, deteriorating law and order, it was the Congress Party and our allies. On the contrary, and in contrast, what you saw, the BJP was indulging in rabble-rousing, dog-whistling politics, divisiveness. So today the voter has to decide, we've done our bit, we've taken our agenda to the people. Today the voter has to decide whether he wants to choose justice over injustice, inclusivity over hate. And more specifically, 4 of our key pillar promises, whether it was the Mahalakshmi scheme, about 3,000 rupees to the women in Maharashtra, whether it was the loan waiver, whether it was an unemployment stipend. So all these are very, very progressive ideas. I think we are very hopeful. There was a lot of resonance on the ground to our ideas, to our promises. And finally, I think the voters of Maharashtra and Jharkhand, for that matter, have realized that the BJP has used every trick in the book to demolish democracy. How the current government was broken, how we and Mr. Uddhav Thackre's party, how our government was broken, our MLAs were poached, and an illegitimate government was formed in Maharashtra.
Right. Adil there, thank you so much. We've, of course, also got our reporters, Prabhakar there, reporting from Ranchi in Jharkhand. Prabhakar, the early numbers, as Vasudha had been pointing out, these are, of course, postal ballots which are being counted. But at the moment, what we can see is that there are 13 seats in which the NDA is leading, 14 as we speak, and the India bloc leading in 6 seats. These are, of course, very, very early days. Yeah. Nothing much should be read out of this at the moment. But you were, of course, telling us that primarily it lies with the tribal vote bank and the women voters in Jharkhand who are going to be decisive, the deciders as to who will be coming to power in the state.
Yeah, exactly. And as far as the numbers are concerned, we should actually hold our horses. We should wait for one more hour to go. We should let this postal ballot be counted first, and then the real figures would start trickling in. So as of now, we should not be reading these numbers actually and reading nothing. These numbers actually mean nothing to viewers, or for that matter, as far as the poll results are concerned. Now, talking about the women voters and the tribal voters, of course, they were the epicenter. First, the tribals were there, then the women, and then the youth. And that's the reason why both the factions, whether it's the India bloc, whether it was NDA, they were trying to lure and target these three section of voters. Tribals were the topmost priority. That's the reason why you saw the narrative of the Bangladeshi immigrants being floated by BJP on the ground, and where they went on to add that the JMM was trying to settle these Bangladeshi immigrants on the ground, which was eventually eating into the resources meant for tribals. So that was, in a way, actually to lure the tribal voters. Then the women voters, we have seen the Maiya Samman Yojana by JMM, 1,000 rupees per month being already paid to them. 4 months of payment has already hit their accounts. And now the JMM has promised that if this vote is back to power, it would be increased to 2,500 rupees per month. In addition to that, the BJP has promised Go Didi Yojana, where it would give 2,100 rupees per month stipend to women below the poverty line. So these were the segments actually who would be the deciding force, and it will be a very interesting battle whether BJP is able to dent into the tribal vote bank, which is traditionally the JMM's vote bank, and JMM as a political party has thrived on the tribal support here in Jharkhand.
Right, thank you, Prabhakar, for joining us with those details. The leads are up on your screen. 45 leads for the NDA in the state of Maharashtra, and for the Mahayuti in the state of Maharashtra, and MVA leading in about 9. And in Jharkhand, it's the NDA that's leading in 17 seats and 6 leads for the India bloc. So remember, these are all postal ballots. We'll have to wait for some time to understand some consolidation of leads happening there. Let me also go across to my colleague Aishwarya, who joins us from the BJP headquarters. Aishwarya, this is an important battle for the BJP because there are two important issues here. The parliament session begins from Monday, and the BJP will not want to give any chance, any opportunity to the opposition to have any edge over this when it comes to issues. It wants the House to run properly. And on the other hand, it also wants the blemish of 2024 Lok Sabha elections, where it faced setback in states like UP and Maharashtra specifically, to be forgotten, to be seen as an aberration. So what is at stake here? And also tell us what is happening in the BJP office, because a lot of jalebi is being served in BJP office this day. The party is also wanting to make a political statement with that sweet that is now associated with the Congress's failure in Haryana.
Well, certainly the Bharatiya Janata Party leaders have stated that they will not go with the exit poll predictions. Of course, they will wait for the results, because last time as well, the BJP leaders have called out for the exit polls predictions. As far as the Maharashtra polls are concerned, they had been stating that they will wait till 11 or 12 to get a final picture, and only after that big political leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party will come outside. On the other side, in Jharkhand, BJP seems very confident, but at the BJP headquarters, of course, you call it early celebrations, or you call it preparations for celebrations, something that we are looking at, because still, over here, what we are witnessing is preparation for the breakfast. Of course, jalebis being prepared early morning. We saw how every elections halwas being prepared at the BJP headquarters, but this time it is, of course, jalebis being prepared here with puri, sabzi and other key dishes. But on the other side, what we saw during the Haryana polls, of course, it was Congress headquarters who had early in the morning had prepared jalebis and started distributing, because they were very confident of the Haryana elections. But at around 10 or 11, when the picture changed a bit, it was Bharatiya Janata Party, who distributed almost 100 kgs of jalebis, and this time it is, of course, the BJP who is early morning, preparing these jalebis. The leaders have given, of course, the Karyakartas about how much the jalebi should be distributed. Of course, it was a flashpoint between the BJP and the Congress. Jalebis is something that was much talked about, but let's see who will taste these jalebis after the election results, whether it is the Congress or the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Details, sweets being prepared, snacks being prepared. Of course, this is an important day for not just the BJP, but also the Congress party and all the regional parties that are involved here, because many implications, many consequences there. The parliament session is starting from Monday, so both parties would want to have a stronger position for themselves. And of course, apart from that, the BJP would want to show that the 2024 Lok Sabha elections was the setback that it faced was not really the mood of the country, and it's Haryana that's something that is something reflective of the mood of the country. But of course, the MVA and the JMM there also wanting to make their point. Let me go across to my colleague Anurag, who joins us from Madhya Pradesh. Anurag, very important Budhni elections happening there, and in the last few months, we've also seen Shivraj Singh's stature improving nationally. He is the agricultural minister, rural development minister, and in Delhi, he actually has a lot of control over these two large departments. departments which have the maximum number of bureaucrats. Tell us, how important is this bypoll for the stature of someone like Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who, of course, that came into question because Mohan Yadav was made the chief minister, understandably, without him being in know of the situation.
Yes, but unfortunately, I was listening to my colleagues, but no puri or jalebi or laddus in Madhya Pradesh. But as you pointed out, it's a very important election for Shivraj Singh Chauhan. I mean, he's not contesting, but it's his bastion. And last time he won the seat by a margin of more than 1,04,000. So in Budni, I mean, all the experts are saying is just all about the margin, because Ramakant Bhargav is a very close associate of Shivraj Singh Chauhan. He's contesting from Budni, and the Congress has fielded Rajkumar Patel, a former minister in the Digvijay Singh cabinet. He won the seat in 1993, but after 2006, it was all about Shivraj Singh Chauhan. And Budni was the seat. It comes under the Vidisha, Lok Sabha seat, from where Shivraj Singh Chauhan is the member of parliament, and it gave Shivraj Singh Chauhan a lead of 1,25,000 during the Lok Sabha elections. And the second seat is Vijaypur, from where it has a history of Congress candidate winning from Vijaypur, and out of 15 elections there, Congress won the seat 9 times. And but out of these 9 times, 6 times the seat was won by Ram Nivas Rawat, who resigned from the Congress, and now he's with the BJP. He's a cabinet minister in Dr. Mohan Yadav's cabinet, handling the portfolio of forest and environment. So and from there, the Congress has fielded Mukesh Malhotra, a tribal leader. During the last elections, he contested as an independent candidate and secured around 41,000 votes. So it's a tough fight for Mr. Ram Nivas Rawat there in Vijaypur. But in Budni, everyone is saying that, the only difference will be the number of votes in favor of Mr. Ramakant Bhargav.
Thank you, Anurag, for joining us with those details. Former Minister Ram Nivas Rawat, who was a congressman earlier, now in the BJP, his future is at stake from Vijaypur. And of course, Ramakant Bhargav, seen as a close associate of Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Union Minister of Agriculture, Rural Development, now formerly the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. He is also in the fray. Interesting elections there in Madhya Pradesh. We also have Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist, joining us. Neerja ji, in the Lok Sabha elections of 2024, it was Uddhav Thackeray who won 9 seats out of 21, and Eknath Shinde winning 7 out of 15. Eknath Shinde's strike rate was considered better than Uddhav Thackeray's, and this time it's going to be a crucial election as well. Do you see this as a battle of survival for Uddhav Thackeray?
I wouldn't say battle of survival. You can never write off anybody in Indian politics. Somebody like Narasimha Rao had packed up his bags, was going home. He was retiring from politics, and suddenly he becomes the Prime Minister of India. So given our Indian politics, you cannot say that. But certainly it's a very important contest. Does he represent the Sena electorally, or does Eknath Shinde represent the Sena? In Lok Sabha, his strike rate was the lowest among the NDA partners. Congress had 13, Sharad Pawar 8 out of 10, very high strike rate, and Uddhav Thackeray's strike rate was the lowest. So now again we need to see whether it is going to be equally poised or Shinde will get better. And if this is the kind of lead, I mean, this is only through the through the postal ballots, but if this kind of a lead is retained, then that shows Shinde will be also doing well. It's not only the BJP.
Absolutely.
Other partners will also be doing well. Yes. So yes, it's very critical for Uddhav Thackeray, because so far his stand has been, okay, the MLAs have left me, but the ground level Senics are still with me, and they matter. They are the people who are the face of the Sena with the ordinary people. I know in colonies people say, we will vote for the Sena. Why? Because हमारा सारा काम कराते हैं.
Yes.
कुछ भी चाहिए तो हमारा काम होता है. We can go to them. So, but is he losing out at that level also? Is the reason that he's moved away from what the core group says, the ideology of Hindutva, and relying on Muslim support, which is one of the criticisms. But of course, then every party transforms as time goes on. But it's a very critical election, no doubt.
Professor Shastri, would you also say that in the last few months, this Ladki Bahin Yojana came up, electricity for farmers came up, and Mr. Shinde was also in some ways able to project his image as someone who's accessible, who's a common man, vis-a-vis someone like Uddhav Thackeray, who's elite and who is seen as inaccessible. Do you think Mr. Shinde has been successful in doing that?
So it's often misleading to read an assembly poll on the basis of a Lok Sabha poll, even though they are so close. Because the issues in a Vidhan Sabha poll are very, very different. Yes. And the numbers also change quite dramatically. You are right in saying that since the Lok Sabha election, the government in Maharashtra has been making a concerted attempt to try and focus on people's welfare schemes. And the Ladki Bahin Yojana, I think, has done quite a miracle for the party in that sense, because our study in October showed that nearly 80% people said, we have heard of it, and nearly 70% people said somebody from our family has benefited from it. So yes, that is a critical factor. And the second point you made, that Shinde being projected as a prominent Maratha leader within that alliance, and being made the chief minister and remaining as chief minister, I think was a critical factor in the whole social coalition that they were trying to construct of bringing the Maratha vote in. So today will tell us whether actually both these strategies have worked effectively or not. And I think the Mahayuti is hinging its success on these two very, very critical elements.
Right. Coming to you, Neeja ma'am, as far as Jharkhand is concerned, of course, a lot of exit polls have given Mahayuti the edge. But do you see a scenario where the smaller parties will have a role to play in Jharkhand, because there is a tight contest there, according to certain exit polls, between the JM Congress combined and the BJP on the other side?
Yeah, if it is a very close contest, which some believe it will be, because from the beginning it's been billed as a takkar between two sides. But of late, there are both kinds of stories, that feedback that has been coming. One, that the BJP had moved ahead because of a variety of reasons, anti-incumbency against Soren, corruption, and also recent days stories have been coming, there is an anti-outsider sentiment. Now, anti-outsider sentiment is of a kind that not the locals, and I don't mean the tribal versus non-tribal, but people from outside have taken leadership in Jharkhand, and there has been a reaction. I don't know how strong this sentiment is, how relevant it's going to be, but certainly there have been voices expressing this.
Right.
If I could just add a point to that. Traditionally, the JMM and its supporters have been doing well in the tribal region, whereas the BJP has been doing well in the non-tribal region. I think the key to the success in this election is how well does the JMM do in the non-tribal regions, even as it holds on to its tribal support, and how well does the BJP-led alliance do in the tribal regions, even as it holds on to its support in the non-tribal regions. So I think the advantage of making inroads into the opposite camp's support base is what is going to be critical in this particular election in Jharkhand.
So that's why we saw the most aggressive campaign of the BJP in both Santal Parganas and Kulhan. They also got Champai Soren on their side. So while we talk about Maharashtra and Jharkhand, there are also bypolls that happened across the country. Let me go across to Harsha, who joins us from Nagaur. Harsha, while the bypolls, the 7 bypolls that happened in Rajasthan are extremely critical for Hanuman Beniwal, the Jat strongman, or for that matter, Kirori Lal Meena, the maverick politician, but also the Bharatiya Adivasi Party, a fledgling party that actually made a lot of mark in Lok Sabha elections and also in the assembly polls. Tell us, how are the smaller parties actually, stacking up when it comes to the possible outcome here?
Well, yes, I'm very glad you asked me this question about the Bharatiya Adivasi Party. Really, in South Rajasthan, there is a new kind of tribal identity that is at play that we can see on the ground. The Bharatiya Adivasi Party started off as the BTP, and now, of course, it's split and it's the BAP. And they really have, made a mark in the south part of Rajasthan, and I think they're going to be a problem both for the Congress and the BJP in the years to come. So that seat of Chaurasi, where you remember Rajkumar Roth, who is the BAP leader, he's become the Lok Sabha MP, the first MP from the party. And there, the kind of identity politics that you can see. I mean, you have the BJP who's saying the tribals are Hindus. You have the tribals who are saying we are not Hindus. Some tribals are saying we are Hindus. So really, that's the fight for the tribal identity in South Rajasthan. Now, as far as Hanuman Beniwal is concerned and the RLP, you're talking about smaller parties. Well, here it's all about the Jat vote. Remember, the Jat vote is very crucial in Rajasthan. And when Atal Bihari Vajpayee put the Jats into the OBC category in the 90s, that's when the party got 120 seats in Rajasthan, which was that election that Vasundhara Raje fought. So, of course, we saw that the Jat vote in the Lok Sabha elections kind of shifted away from the BJP because of the farm law agitation, or even because of the agitation over the Agniveer issue. Now, we are seeing that these seats, which are really crucial, Jhunjhunu, Keemsar, which is where I am, Nagaur, these seats are very, very important, because if the BJP regains these seats, it means that there's again been a kind of a shift in this kind of caste arithmetic. Also, the most obvious is, of course, that, it's a litmus test for the Bhajan Lal government. It comes exactly 1 year after Bhajan Lal took over as Chief Minister of Rajasthan. Nobody knew who he really was. He was the person, backbencher in the BJP, suddenly catapulted to a leadership role. Vasundhara Raje has not been very active, of course, ever since that happened. So somewhere it's going to be a litmus test, not only for Bhajan Lal, the Chief Minister, and 1 year of his governance, but also it will be a litmus test for the entire BJP leadership, because most of them are new faces. So how has that gamble paid off of creating a new rung of leadership in Rajasthan? That's the most obvious fallout of these by-elections. Very crucial, I have to say, for state politics. There'll definitely be political indicators. And of course, that slapgate that we saw, Naresh Meena, who left the Congress, stood as an independent in Devli Oniara talk, made headlines there. That seat is also going to have results coming out this morning.
Right, significant results will come out from Rajasthan there as well. Harsha, stay with us. I'm also joined by my colleague Ratnadeep, who's tracking all the by-elections which took place in multiple seats across the northeast, 5 contests in Assam and 1 in Meghalaya. Ratnadeep, all eyes, of course, will be whether or not BJP and its allies will be able to hold on to the 4 seats that they had, in fact, won earlier in the region among all these seats which had gone to Bypolls.
That's right. In fact, as we speak, the counting for the postal ballots continue in the counting centers for this 5 Bypoll seats, which actually got negotiated after their sitting MLAs contested the Lok Sabha elections and won. And among these 5 seats, 4 are with the BJP and allies, 1 with the Congress. And the contest is there for that 1 seat, which is with the Congress, Samaguri, a Muslim majority seat, which is a Congress stronghold. Remember, since 2001, Congress heavyweight from Assam, former Minister Rakibul Hussain, who this time contested the Lok Sabha elections and from Dhubri and won with one of the highest margins in the country, had represented Samaguri, and this time he has fielded his son, 26-year-old Tanzil Hussain. But Samaguri had been in news because there have been major pre-poll violence causing death of a person. They have been firing on the convoy of a BJP MLA. The Congress candidate has been attacked. In fact, we were reporting from Samaguri on the day of the polling, and while we were reporting live, there were skirmishes happening in our backdrop that NDTV brought to the viewers in terms of the intense fight that is there between the BJP and the Congress there. The BJP has fielded young leader, State Unit General Secretary Diplu Ranjan Sharma. So BJP want to win that seat back from Congress and make a dent into the Congress stronghold. But what is important to note here is that the rest of the 4 seats where the BJP has an upper hand, there would be a test for the Congress, particularly in the Bihali seat, which where you have a BJP turncoat contesting on a Congress ticket, and these is a seat where Gaurav Gogoi, who is seen as the emerging face in terms of Congress leadership in Assam, had campaigned there heavily. So this is a test for Gaurav Gogoi as well. It is a test for the second-rank leadership of the BJP as well, because they had spearheaded the campaign this time in Assam, since Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma was largely busy with the Jharkhand election, though he campaigned at the last moment for party candidates. Sarvanand Sonowal was not seen much, one or two rallies. So therefore, this is a test for the BJP leadership beyond Sonowal and Sharma in this election versus Congress's emerging face, Gaurav Gogoi. Not to forget the one seat which has gone for Bypolls in Meghalaya, Gambagre, again a Congress stronghold, where this time the ruling party, the NPP, which leads the the ruling coalition in Meghalaya, their chief and chief minister Conrad Sangma has fielded his wife Mehtab Chandi Sangma as the candidate, her electoral debut. So therefore, she is facing a tough fight, given the fact that there are 3 more candidates, including the TMC candidate, who is a wife of a former minister from during Congress time. So therefore, that seat is a prestige battle, given the fact that the Sangma family, remember, have lost their own backyard, the Tura Lok Sabha seats, after years, when Agatha Sangma in the last Lok Sabha election lost that seat. So therefore, it is a test for the Sangmas as well, and Gambagre seat.
Right. Thank you, Ratnadeep, for joining us with those details. 5 crucial assembly polls in the state of Assam, a test for Himanta Biswa Sharma and also for Gaurav Gogoi, who's emerging as a Congress leader for the state of Assam. Going back to my colleague Anuj, who is reporting for us from Mumbai. Anuj, Maharashtra is where all eyes are on, and the early leads have started coming in, and they are in some way showing a lead for the NDA, although these are just postal ballots being counted. This is a huge state. We'll have to really wait for some time to understand how this consolidation of victory takes place, and even then we will not be really sure if that's actually the government that's going to be formed. Tell us, how are political parties getting their preparations in order, because I'm told that there are helicopters on the standby, there are hotel rooms that were booked yesterday. So clearly this is also a projection of confidence, but there's a battle of perception when it comes to Sena versus Sena. How is that battle coming along?
There's a battle of perception throughout the state and also across the different factions here. One thing is for sure is that both the alliances are ready for some sort of unnatural partnerships to take place post the result, because we've seen that there has been some sort of a conflict within both the alliances over several matters. When you talk about Mahayuti, firstly, it's about the chief ministership's face. I mean, of course, in MVA, they made it very clear that, Congress and Rashtravadi did not want to go with the face, but Shiv Sena UBT faction was very much willing to do it. But at the same time, even in Mahayuti, we see that there is not a consensus, because Devendra Fadnavis has been giving hints about coming back to power, but he's also said on multiple times that he's completely out of the race. Then we had Vinod Taude in the center of all the controversies just a day before the polls. We have Eknath Shinde, who made it very clear that Amit Shah had communicated to him that it is under his leadership that the entirety of Mahayuti was fighting the election, which means that the chances of him carrying on as the chief minister, according to the Shinde faction, is very high. But at the same time, they also have the third partner, Ajit Pawar, who's been the deputy chief minister for close to 5 or 6 times and has been very vocal about his willingness to be the chief minister. So when you see all of these things playing out, even in 2019, we saw that one of the major reasons, or if not the actual reason for the Shiv Sena to split away from the pre-poll alliance and part its way away from the Bharatiya Janata Party was, according to them, the BJP not keeping a word of having a 2.5 is to 2.5 years formula as far as the chief ministership is concerned. In this election as well, we can see that just one position of, one executive position can play a very vital role when it comes to deciding the post-poll alliances. Very similar to what happened in 2019. But unlike that, we've seen that especially between the NCP Sharad Pawar faction and the Shinde Sena faction, they both have not really fielded a lot of candidates against each other. And there has been a chatter going around about how, Sharad Pawar and Shinde Sena is keeping their cards open of tying it up with one another if the need comes. One can still not be completely sure about what route is Ajit Pawar faction going to take. Has he parted ways from his uncle for good, or are there ways, for him to make amends? If there's one party which has made its relationship sour with everyone, in the opposition, that is the Uddhav Thackeray faction of Shiv Sena. They have been very vocal and aggressive against, of course, the Bharatiya Janata Party and Shinde Sena for the very basic reason of the party getting split. So we can see very few or less chances of them teaming up. But then, as we heard someone say before, that this is Indian politics and one cannot really predict anything longer term for this. A lot can change in 24 hours. But as of now, we've seen that although the early leads suggest that the Mahayuti would be inching towards the majority mark, but it's just the postal votes. And secondly, one cannot really guarantee that particular alliance to form the government, even if they get the majority mark.
Yes. Nisha ma'am, you heard what my colleague had to say. The psychological advantage that the Mahavikas Aghadi had when the numbers came out in 2024 Lok Sabha elections, with Congress winning 13 seats, the highest, do you think the Congress did enough to retain that edge when it came to the assembly elections?
Well, the general view is that the Congress's campaign was very, very localized. There wasn't a state leader campaigning all over for various constituencies. Rahul Gandhi went as a national leader and did few rallies, but it wasn't like a blitz. But then this time, the Maharashtra election was more about state leaders and less about the national leaders. In fact, people didn't talk about Narendra Modi or Rahul Gandhi at all. They were more interested in Sharad Pawar, Uddhav Thackeray, Devendra Fadnavis, Eknath Shinde, who would make it, what are the possibilities. So I think, but in a localized election, did they put their best foot forward? Because the political families in Maharashtra who control districts, and often they are contending more than one political family pitted against another one. Like Narayan Rane's family, whose two sons are contesting from Sindhudurg, as opposed to the Naik family, who are the foes. So there are many local, I have called this a hyper-local election, the Maharashtra election. Therefore, very difficult to, predict, because there are too many players taking place in action there. So to answer your question, did they put their best foot forward? People feel they didn't put their best foot forward in Jharkhand, certainly.
Yes.
Because they were given 30 seats in that alliance and 41 to JMM, and then to RJD and CPIML. And people felt that, in proportion to what they'd been given, they had not done their best.
And they just campaigned in the seats where the Congress was
that also. But I think it's much more than, it was more an alliance that was there, MVA rather than Congress per se.
Right.
And sympathy for Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray, because they'd been betrayed by their parties. The parties had split. That had played out in the Lok Sabha.
Okay.
Now, does sympathy manifest itself second time over in the same manner?
Right.
Then the other thing that went in their favor was Maratha Muslim and Dalit combination. Did that also weaken? Did the Dalit component of it weaken? Even though Marathas, I think, have been with them.
I think Jarange Patil's, decision to not really contest elections, because in Marathwada, the BJP faced one of its worst setbacks, winning just about one seat. Do you think, Professor Shastri, that was one thing that was key to this election outcome, whatever it is, Maratha factor?
The Maratha factor is going to be critical. I think as the day progresses and as the victories become visible, which way the Maratha vote has gone would be visibly seen, along with the vote of other OBC groups, the scheduled caste vote and the minority vote. I think how these four play out will be seen in the result. But let me draw your attention to one more point, a very critical difference between the Mahayuti and the Aghadi. In the case of the Aghadi, the three parties left each party to focus on the region that they were strong in. So you had Sharad Pawar focusing on North Maharashtra and West Maharashtra. You had the Congress focusing on Vidarbha and the Shiv Sena focusing on Marathwada. Now, did this strategy work? Which means all the three have to pull their strengths to be able to do well in the regions given. On the other hand, in the Ayuti, you notice that the BJP has a majority of the seats across regions, whereas the Shinde Sena is in its pockets and Pawar's NCP is in its pocket. So this is a very different strategy the two followed, and which strategy appears to have the upper hand again is what we will know by 12 o'clock today.
That's right.
Of course, the early leads are coming in. For our viewers, if we can just refer to the numbers that we can see on the screens right now. These are, of course, postal ballots which are being counted at this point in time. But the NDA getting a march ahead with 88 lead in 88 seats, and the MVA leading in 50 seats as we speak. And as far as Jharkhand is concerned, it's the NDA which is leading in 32 seats at this point in time, and 16 seats where the India bloc is leading. But these are very early days.
Absolutely. Remember, counting always begins with postal ballots reserved for specific groups, including those with disabilities, security personnel, and certain government employees who are involved in essential services, after which is when the EVMs, they get opened and their votes get tallied. By midday is when we're told early trends will start emerging. And then, of course, the consolidation of leads takes place. But in Maharashtra, it's a tricky situation, because even if the party manages to get the highest number of seats, we're not really sure if it will be part of the government.
So I think it's very good that we are taking this electoral insurance policy at regular intervals, because I think last time around also there was this excitement about a certain parties doing well in the initial phase and the ultimate result being different. So I think to err on the side of caution is much better, and that's nice that we are doing it today as part of our analysis.
Absolutely. So early trends have started coming in, but they can be misleading. We'll have to wait and watch how this situation pans out. But remember, important elections there, fight for the economy, for the capital of economy, for the financial capital of the country, and also Jharkhand, which is crucial to the tribal identity. Important wars taking place, and of course 42 bypolls, which will also see Priyanka Gandhi's electoral debut. And if she makes it, all Gandhis will be in the parliament. That itself is going to be interesting.
Right. Time for us to take a very short break, but stay with us. Coming up on the other side, Vishnu Shoma and Maria Shakil.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Cashback has flow, करते नहीं impress. Life would easy, कितना कुछ free, only with single ID. ये भी free, वो भी free, कितना कुछ free, only with single ID. Get it free with single ID. कितने सारे apps से मुझसे जुड़े, brands मेरे पास है सबसे बड़े. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Only with single ID. Get it free with single ID.
Download any single ID partner app, link your card and earn rewards with top brand.
Get it free with single ID.
Good morning and welcome. In the next few hours, the political landscape of India could shift dramatically as the results from the Jharkhand and Maharashtra assembly elections roll in. With high stakes and even a higher voter turnout, these elections aren't just about local governance. They are a litmus test for national political tides. In Maharashtra, the battle between the BJP-led Mahayuti and the Mahavikas Aghadi promises a fierce contest with implications for regional power dynamics.
Yes, that's Vishnu, and I are joining you at a time when the EVM machines would have opened and the counting for both the states and the bypoll that's happening across a number of states would have begun. In Jharkhand, the outcome will signal whether the JMM Congress coalition can maintain its grip or if the BJP-led NDA will seize control. This isn't just about numbers, it's about the direction of development, policy and leadership in these pivotal states. Stay tuned as we bring you all the live updates, analysis, first reactions from the ground, shaping the future of over 250 million people. Don't miss what promises to be
a political spectacle that could redefine state and national politics. Because, Maria, you would agree, it's not just a state election this time around.
Absolutely.
There has been a certain trend, which we've seen in the Haryana elections. Is that going to be something which could be a factor over here? We're going to really see what happens over here, because there are many elections coming up, but we're going to see where this leads us. So we're going to, what you see on your screens right now, with many, many words of caution.
Yes.
And should we add a few more words?
Yes.
Is very, very early leads. And these cannot be relied on. These are leads and not results. These are postal ballots which are coming in. These are early trends which are coming in. If you are asking when will results be known, I would suppose by about 12 o'clock we'll get
11:30 we'll get direction clear.
A clear direction, and then in the next few hours, these will translate into results.
Yes, absolutely. So at the moment, as we start this broadcast at 9 a.m., NDA, which is the Maha Yuti, at 96, Maha Vikas Aghadi at 64, and others become important in case if there is a hung assembly, but not at the moment. It appears a very different picture, but yes, it's very, very early. It's 9 a.m. The counting of the EVM machines would have just about begun in certain counting centers only, not across Maharashtra or Jharkhand. Looking at the Jharkhand picture, the early leads coming in of more than 50% of 81 seats, NDA there at 35, India Bloc at 18. Of course, it is the JMM, which is the incumbent in Jharkhand. Let's bring in the reporters.
Maria, hang on. Let me ask you a quick question.
Please go ahead.
Do you have any word on hotel bookings in Maharashtra?
Yes. So that's an important point. I was speaking to some sources of mine across parties, and they were telling me that there are preparations underway. Still last evening, none of the sides were confident whether this result in Maharashtra, because it's very, very splintered in terms of 6 parties, Vishnu directly in fray. Both the Congress and the BJP have a part of the Shiva Sena and the NCP. So you really do not know which way this election will go. But I think directionally, there is a sense that has come in. Okay, so there's a triple digit now for the Maha Yuti.
No, you're talking about hotels, and I'm reminded,
Yes.
since the split of the Shiv Sena was such an important and pivotal moment in Indian politics, about the hotel politics, as it were, when the Shiv Sena split. They first went to Goa, then they went to Assam, then they went back to Goa,
Yes.
right? And then they went to Maharashtra.
Yes,
And we were tracking them in various hotels all the time.
So, yeah, I think that becomes tough for us because, there are so many hotels, and we tend to finally get the numbers of where. And
Let's
the
hope
number
it
of
doesn't
booking
go there.
importance.
Let's hope it doesn't go
Early
there. Now we
morning,
want clean
certainly not.
elections. That means we get to work a little less also.
Yes, so let's bring in the reporters. Anuj is joining us. We have Radhika joining us live early this morning, and we also have Abira. Let me begin with you, Radhika. As someone who is in Worli, an important contest between Milind Deora and Aditya Thackeray, what are you picking up? Is it, has the voting, counting of the EVM machines begun? I'm sure the postal ballots are over. What about EVM machines? Has that started?
Yeah, that has started. Counting of EVMs has started in Worli, of course. As you said, this is a high-stakes battle that we saw between Aditya Thackeray and Milind Deora. It's going to be a close contest. Several predict Aditya win. Many others predict Milind win. But, this is what we've been seeing over the last several weeks. Maha Yuti very, very confident of their victory. MVA confident of its victory. And it could be hung assembly is what several people are telling us. But if it's going to be hung assembly, more drama post this. And as you were pointing out, as reporters who've been covering this since 2019, we covered 2019 elections as well, and post that the Sena split, NCP split, we were just talking about hotels and resort politics. We did see, when the Sena versus Sena split happened, the number of hotels that all of them were put up in, first Surat and then Guwahati and then Goa. And the discussions really among reporters is, will we have to go to several of these cities and be parked outside many of these hotels? So that is a concern for reporters voters also, not just the, candidates, leaders and the political parties. But having said that, yes, it is a close contest. Mahayuti versus MVA, unlikely alliances, a lot of realignments we saw in the last several years. So therefore, 2019 drastically different from 2024. In 2024, we are talking about 6 parties and unstable alliances, as one would say, 2 Senas, 2 NCPs. So therefore, yes, although early trends may give Mahayuti some edge and perhaps later MVA some edge, but we'll have to really wait till the end because it's down to the wire really as far as Maharashtra Assembly elections are concerned. Yesterday multiple meetings took place, Sena meetings, BJP meetings, Congress meetings to ensure that their flock stays together, one, and secondly, if it is a hung assembly, who are the independents, who are the rebel candidates, and which are the smaller parties they could perhaps depend on. So yes, it's all down to the wire as far as Maharashtra is concerned. We'll have to wait for a few more hours to understand if it is going to be a clear mandate either for Mahayuti or MVA, or if it's going to be hung assembly, which means it's going to be, chaos and confusion for weeks ahead.
Mahayuti at 110, Mahavikas Aghadi at 68, of course, as we have said, that the counting of EVM has just begun. Anuj continues to be with us. Anuj, where exactly is Eknath Shinde today? Because, it's an important battle for him in particular. Is he at Varsha or is he in Thane?
Eknath Shinde is in Thane here, right at the beginning of the day. Of course, he's expected to move towards the city as the trends become a little clear. And not just him, we can also expect many other political leaders, especially from the close-by areas and from the far-off places as well, to travel to the city, from both the factions. Because although the early trends suggest that the Mahayuti are having an edge at this particular moment, but we can expect things to get very close, as we approach the 12 noon period, and that is when one can see both the alliances will be inching towards that magical number of 145. But as been reiterated before, even if a party or even if an alliance crosses the mark of 145, that doesn't really guarantee the formation of the government by them, because it will be too ambitious of us to believe that even by the end of the day, the picture will become very clear considering what has been going on across the state in the last 4 to 5 years. We've seen that, there have been several mini contests amongst the larger picture of the Maharashtra
in terms of what the overall
and
situation that you see on the screen right now. Let's just give you the leads position right now. At this stage, the leads have the NDA considerably ahead. Remember, this will be postal ballot counting. At 103 leads for the NDA, the Mahavikas Aghadi at 64. At this stage, the Mahavikas Aghadi is actually 13 ahead in terms of a change from last time around. Of course, the political formations were different, but in terms of the composition, the NDA is down 7. But again, very early days. Let's go across to Abira, who joins us at from Dahisar. Abira, what's happening around you? What's the buzz that you're picking up? And what are some of the key contests where you're reporting from?
Let's first talk about, I think this time Maharashtra is taken over by the women because the percentage of women that turned out to vote was extraordinary compared to, of course, 2019. We have seen how Maharashtra percentage of voters have increased, and we have to give it to the women because 6% increase in the women voter. So, I think here at Dahisar, we have Manisha Chaudhary, who is the sitting MLA right now, who is the BJP candidate. She has an upper hand because she has been campaigning here, talking to the women, of course. But at the same time, we have Vinod Ghosalkar, who has a emotional quotient here because he has sympathy as his son was murdered a few months back. And he has been standing here, so he has sympathy votes here. But we have to say it is the women voters who are ruling Maharashtra. Maybe they will decide who will win this election.
Well, we're also joined by Clyde Craster of the NCP, Rajesh Ghotian of the Congress, and Amya Kapoor of the BJP. Thank you all very much for being with us. And of course, we've got a wonderful set of panelists coming in throughout this morning. Let me go across to you, Clyde, first. Bottom line, at the end of today, or in fact in the next few hours, voters in Maharashtra, people in Maharashtra will get a sense of the real NCP, right? It is a battle of identity for your party. Clyde, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me? Did you get my question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I got your question. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can you hear me?
All right, we'll come back to Clyde in a moment. Let's just go quickly across to Rajesh Ghotian of the Congress Party. Rajesh, I know these are very early right now, but it does appear that in terms of the lead situation, the NDA considerably ahead of the MVA. Any quick thoughts that you may have?
See, when I started seeing the counting, I knew it was not possible at all. And if you see, I have been looking at the left side, that is on the screen, at a lot of Marathi channels, one of them being yours, NDTV Marathi. Now, I am having a lead count of, I don't want to just market any other channel on your channel, but I am having the latest on all the 288. It was 137, 135. So what you are showing will finally go there. And as of now, I don't want to be wrong also, it is showing 140 to Mayuti and 132 to MVA. And this is not even the first round. So I'm very sure
Sajjan Kumar
I was on your channel 2 days back.
Yes.
Hello, can you
Sajjan,
hear
come
me?
in on this. When we are looking at
No, I
these
was
numbers,
on your channel
120
2 days
is
back.
what we are looking at for Mahayuti at the moment, and Mahavikas Aghadi at 80. Mahayuti down by 12.
I'm giving you the latest.
And Mahavikas Aghadi up by 20. Very early hours, 9-11 isn't really the time we can come to some conclusion, but how are you looking at it?
No, I mean, that's also the down and up is because last time in 2019, the combinations were different. You have just two parties in what you call today Mahayuti, combined Shiv Sena and BJP. So therefore, both the constituents were contesting more seats. So this time, even if it's going down, the lead indicates one thing. If you see the ground scenario, the fact that except Marathwada region, everywhere there was a positive traction for Ladki Bahin Yojana scheme. To Eknath Shinde's image has also taken some sort of upward pull factor. Given that, also if you see in Vidarbha region wherein Congress was supposed to contribute considerably, therein we found that Congress had literally let it go, let it slip out and fall into the hands of the local candidates wherein the Mahayuti has the edge. So overall, I think if more women voters, as the report is there, have voted in this, so therefore the Ladki Bahin Yojana impact is going to give positive traction to the Mahayuti.
Okay, Aditi?
Well, we have to see what role or what the performance of Sharad Pawar is, because this is absolutely a make and break election for him and his party. We have to. I don't know what the reports are from Baramati. I don't know what the reports are from other areas where.
I will just mention that because NCP SP at the moment, their leads are, they are contesting on 64 seats. Lead is in 33. There's a change of plus 21 for NCP SP at the moment.
So which is?
They're contesting in 86 seats, right?
86, yeah.
Yes,
86 seats.
So far we know
51.
about 64.
51 so far.
64 we know about so far, yes.
So even assuming that it is
F5 update button, eh?
Yes.
Even if we assume that it is around, they're leading in 1 out of every 2 seats that they contested, that's pretty damn good as strike rates go. But we have to see what, I'm really interested in knowing what happens in Baramati.
Yes.
In fact, there's a further update, Maria. They're contesting in 86, the NCP SP. So far, there are leads in 71. There are leads now in 37. They're leading now in 37.
There's a gain of 24 seats.
And that's very significant.
Yes, that's pretty good. Let's bring in Clyde and get a reaction on this. Of course, as far as the Lok Sabha is concerned, Clyde, we saw the results, and Sharad Pawar did give what was seen as a debilitating blow to his nephew when Ajit Pawar's NCP managed only 1 MP while Sharad Pawar dominated the NCP completely. I don't think so. Even in this election, Sharad Pawar, the NCP battle is going to be settled so easily. Mr. Pawar remains that dominant figure in Maharashtra politics.
Good morning, Maria and Vishnu. I hope you can hear me now.
Loud and clear.
Am I audible enough? Am I audible now?
Clyde, you've been audible all throughout. Can you answer the question?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So I heard you. You know, I'm getting my updates, from Baramati.
Yes.
So at the moment, Mr. Ajit Pawar is leading, but overall picture is that, the NCP, my NCP, which is Mr. Sharad Chandra Pawar, we're leading in 45 seats at the moment. That's the update I'm getting from my central office, that we're leading 45 seats. So it's going to be neck to neck, but, like Maria just said, is it going to be settled, which is the real NCP? I have no doubt. I have no doubt we are the real NCP. The election commission may have given the verdict, things have panned out, but we all know who formed NCP. We all know who is the president of the NCP. These things happen, but at the end of the day, people of Maharashtra will decide today what they decided in the Lok Sabha election. We won 8 out of the 10 seats that we contested it. So I think it's going to be a decision that the people have taken. It's going to seal it this time around. But having said that, the updates that I'm getting also, we are neck to neck. The Mahayuti and Mahavikas Aghadi are running neck to neck.
It's a battle of identity for your party. At the end of the day, in the next few hours, people would likely say, okay, I now know who the real NCP is. And therefore, as tall a leader as Sharad Pawar may be, this is at one level an existential election for your party.
Well, I wouldn't call it an existential election because we know we exist. It's the other faction that broke away. They try to, exist and, call themselves the real NCP. But the truth cannot be, hidden. The fact is, we all know where the party stands. Sharad Pawar Saab formed the NCP and we're
a word on Shiv
One
Sena and all other political parties, because we have more details coming in now. The Shiv Sena, which is Eknath Shinde's Sena, the leads have come in on 59 seats out of 81 that they have contested leads now. They are leading in 33 of those 59. There is a change or gain of 2. Congress, though, is down minus 13. They are contesting on 101. Remember, in Mahavikas Aghadi, they're contesting on maximum number of seats. Out of 101 seats that the Congress is contesting, the leads clear now in 83. They are leading only in 26. And in 2019, remember, they had won 39. So I think it's not very early trend, but not very clear picture for the Congress at the moment. So as we look at 917, Mahavikas Aghadi at 85, Mahayuti at 136. So that's how the numbers are stacked. Again, let's bring in Anuja Kapoor now of the BJP. Early trends, I know BJP has always been cautiously optimistic, but how are you viewing it?
Jai Shri Ram and good morning. We are very hopeful because this is the government of NDA, and NDA is a cadre-based party where under the leadership of Modi ji, a Modi ji who has been bestowed with the highest honor around the world with 17 awards. This is what we see, where India is called as a Viksit Bharat. You will be seeing in 2045, 40 in next decade. So what we are looking into is why we would be winning this. Because what Modi ji's schemes have been turned up in Maharashtra, what Modi ji's schemes have been turned up in Jharkhand, that is on the ground level. The woman, Dalit, the caste system, what Congress was talking about, where we were talking about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, where we also talked about
because what I'd like to do, and I'll come back to you, is take a look at important strike rates which are taking place in face-offs between various political formations. So if you take a look at the BJP versus the Congress, that's the really big one. The BJP presently in leads, these are leads, not results, we'll say it 100 times, has a strike rate of 70%. The Congress in a direct face-off in Maharashtra across the state is hitting at only 23%. So this is a huge problem, Maria.
Yes, a word on those 75 seats. Out of those 75 seats, there is on which there is a direct face-off between the BJP and the Congress. 40 are in Vidarbha, which essentially means that the BJP is doing well in Vidarbha region. That's why their strike rate is at 70% in this direct face-off between the BJP and the Congress. Early hours, it's 9:20 only.
And also, the other point, of course, is that the Congress is doing, would have concerns at this stage. Of the 101, and as you mentioned, in the MBA, they're contesting the maximum number of seats in that alliance. They're leading in only 25. That's down 14 from last time. Let's take a look at the next face-off, as it were, on the screen. This is the NCP versus the, I think it's the NCP versus NCP. Let's try and pull out those graphics on the screen. Oops. NCP versus the NCP SP, Sharad Pawar. Again, this is the battle for identity. It's almost even Stevens, because Maria, about 30 seconds back, it was 50% each, right? So the NCP Sharad Pawar marginally under, but again, it's almost perfectly evening. The other big battle, the Shiv Sena versus the Shiv Sena, the crisis in Maharashtra politics triggered initially by the split of this party. The Shiv Sena or the Balasaheb Thackeray, right? Again, in the biggest battle of identity, is not hitting at the strike rate that they want.
Yes, so in 53 seats that we are looking at, in which there is a direct face-off between the Shiv Sena and Shiv Sena UBT, it's 53 seats, and most of these 53 seats are coming from Konkan, Thane region.
And Mumbai region.
Yes. Yeah. Sajjan, a word on that?
Yeah, precisely. If you see, there is a generational shift, the generation of the Shiv Sena which has not seen Bal Thackre's era. Certainly the sympathy factor doesn't translate into vote automatically. Second, Eknath Shinde, whatever be his tally, but certainly he has arrived as a leader compared to the Lok Sabha election when he was a traitor and banking upon BJP organizational base. Ladki Bahin Yojana is Eknath Shinde's initiative. So 1, 2, he is now considered as a CM who has delivered a lot in a very quick span of time. So that is why he is not only has arrived as a leader, but he is also contributing to the tally of Mahayuti. And if more women turnout is there, which is the case, then mind it, if Yuti sails through, certainly Eknath Shinde is going to be the Nitish Kumar of Maharashtra for BJP.
You know what's interesting? Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, please go ahead.
What I find interesting is that if these trends translate into results, and you know the gap at this stage is fairly significant, then it goes against what we've seen in the Lok Sabha elections, where the MVA rested 30 of the seats, 48 seats. Right? So it's a complete spin within a matter of few months. Of course, we know that assembly elections and Lok Sabha elections very different. But coming as it does just a few months later.
Vishnu, that was palpable on the ground. What I saw on the ground was that there is no anger per se. 6 months ago, the BJP was being accused of Jod Tod Ki Rajniti. After 6 months, that had gone. So what my reading has been, that if there is anger or if there is sympathy, it manifests only once. And if after the voters are done voting on that issue once,
it has been vented out. They have vented out.
It doesn't repeat itself. Aditi?
Well, yes.
The issues would be broadly similar, though.
The issues are similar. The issues are actually the same. Issues of farmer suicide, issues of socio-economic crisis, issues of investment flying out of Maharashtra to other states, levels of corruption. Those issues are very much in people's minds. They continue to be throughout the campaign. This is what one heard. But I think leadership also matters a great deal. And so this election proves to us how much leadership actually matters. Sharad Pawar continues, according to the result, continues to be a formidable leader in Maharashtra, despite the current situation that seems to suggest that Ajit Pawar is following closely behind him.
Okay.
The Shiv Sena UBT leadership has proved that it is not up to the task, and you can only go so far as up to a point with the theme of betrayal. And the Congress, frankly, has completely
they are underperforming in a very big way.
And I would say Vidarbha in particular, you know, because in that region, it is also proving, if these numbers actually translate into actual results, that even in hyper-local elections, we were seeing this as 288 mini battles playing out in Maharashtra. Even then, there are certain nuts and bolts of an organization which seems to be working here.
Yeah, and you see, don't be surprised if Vidarbha emerges as the graveyard, not for the Congress, but it drags down MVA also, because Vidarbha is where the Congress is supposed to contribute. Largest constituent of all the 6 regions. Absolutely. And Congress is supposed to contribute there, and it's almost a direct fight between BJP and Congress. Yes. And the way we are witnessing, it seems to be the trend, at least in Vidarbha, that if MVA gets pulled down, primarily it would be on account of the Congress.
Okay, according to leads, at 9:25, NDA has majority in both the states. But this is early, very, very early trends. Let's tell our viewers this would be the first round of counting on EVM machines. So very, very early when we look at these numbers. But the gap seems to be increasing between the Mahavikas Aghadi and the Mahayuti. It's almost 70 seats gap, which is certainly significant. Let's bring in Mr. Singh now of the Shiv Sena. You know, the spotlight will be on Eknath Shinde. 2.5 years of governance, and then he managed to position himself as this leader who can take forward the mantle of a hard Hindutva party such as the Shiv Sena.
देखिए, जो असली शिवसेना की बात थी, तो आज तो ये प्रूव हो गया कि जो है असली शिवसेना
अभी कुछ और टाइम इंतजार करते, शायद आप और 3 घंटे बाद ये कह सकते हैं, पर फिलहाल ये अभी नतीजे जो है ये नतीजे नहीं है, ये लीड्स है सिर्फ।
नहीं, पॉजिटिव रिजल्ट तो है, पॉजिटिव रिजल्ट चल रहा है। और मेरा कहना ये है कि जो शिंदे साहब जो है, मैं इनको 25 ईयर से जानता हूं और ये बहुत जमीनी नेता है। ये जैसे जो यूबीटी के नेता है, हवाई वाले नहीं है कि जो है इधर से मातोश्री में रहना, ये नहीं करना जो है। इनको मैं स्टडी किया है, सुबह 8 बजे घर से निकलते हैं, 12-1 बजे 2 बजे रात को घर पे आते हैं, और इन्होंने जो लाडली बहना योजना किया जो है, उसकी वजह से काफी फायदा मुझे दिख रहा है। और मैं जिस समय वोटिंग था, उस समय भी वोटिंग पोल पे गया था। इलेक्शन कमीशन को मैं धन्यवाद करता हूं कि उन्होंने जो है अलग से महिलाओं के लिए पंक्ति बनाई थी और व्हील चेयर भी रखा था। तो जो शिवसेना साहब का जो काम है इस इलेक्शन में दिख रहा है, और मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि महायुति की सरकार बनेगी।
What I really want to focus on, and let's just have that graphic up once again on the NCP versus NCP battle, because that to me is the most fascinating battle in the battle for leads at this stage. With the NCP, Sharad Pawar up 23 from last time around, whereas the NCP, the Ajit Pawar faction down 12 from last time around. So, you know, I mean, so that's we'll update those numbers